All right, what's going on, y'all? This is the Heroes Playbook, and I'm your host, Ro. Today, we're going to be breaking down the post 9/11 GI Bill and going over who's actually eligible, who qualifies for it, some of the benefits under it, how it can be used, and just overall how to navigate it when you're going on va.gov to get some information. So, in order to be eligible for the post 9/11 GI Bill, you have to have served at least 90 days on active duty on or after September 11th of 2001, or you received a Purple Heart on or after September 11th, 2001, or were honorably discharged after any amount of service, or you served for at least 30 continuous days on or after September 11th, 2001, and were honorably discharged with a service-connected disability, or you're a dependent child using benefits transferred by a qualifying veteran or service member. So that's how you're actually eligible for the post 9/11 benefit. And the post 9/11 GI Bill will cover tuition and fees, money for housing, money for books and supplies, and money to help you move from a rural area to go to school. You may qualify for a one-time payment if you live in a county with 6 or fewer people per square mile, and you're either moving at least 500 miles to go to school or have no other option but to fly by plane to go to your school. So there is actually an expiration of the post 9/11 GI Bill benefits, but that only if you qualify under certain dates. So if your service ended before January 1st of 2013, your post 9/11 GI Bill chapter benefits will expire 15 years after your last separation date from active service. If your service ended on or after January 1st of 2013, your benefits won't expire. So that's important if you're a veteran who did serve before January 1st of 2013. Go ahead and try to use those benefits before that 15 years because you don't want to let it go to waste. You do have an expiration date on them. So you can actually apply for education benefits. If you use post 9/11 benefits, you'll need to verify your enrollment every month to keep getting the monthly housing allowance or kicker payments. So the GI Bill also does have an entitlement that you have to qualify for, meaning that you have to have a certain amount of days of active duty to qualify for the full 100% entitlement. 100% entitlement just means the full 36 months that the GI Bill covers. So if you don't have 36 months of active duty service, you typically will receive a GI Bill, but you won't receive the 100% entitlement, and then they have date requirements. So if you serve 910 days to 1,094 days, you'll get 90% of your benefit. 730 to 909 days, you'll get 80% of the benefit. And then 544 to 729, you'll get 70% of the benefit. 180 to 545 days, you're going to get 60% of the full benefit. And then 90 to 179 days, you're going to get 50% of the full benefit. So I mostly tell reservists to look out for this just because they're typically only drilling once a month for 2 days out of the whole month. And then they're only doing active duty service for 2 weeks out of the whole year. So it may take them longer to get a full 100% entitlement, that full 36 months. They'll still definitely qualify for an entitlement depending on how many days they've accumulated. But I just be careful. I don't recommend using the GI Bill until you have got 100% entitlement, at least if you're still going to be serving. Now, if you served already and you're done and you only got to like the 80, 90% range, depending on how long your contract was, go ahead and start using it. But if you haven't and you're still serving, go ahead and wait till you accumulate that whole full 100% entitlement to start dipping into it, okay? So the GI Bill will also cover other types of programs besides just four-year colleges. They'll cover vocational programs, entrepreneurship training, flight training if you want to become a pilot, licenses and certification tests and prep courses. You can get on-the-job training and apprenticeships, and then they'll get vocational training or technical training. They'll also pay for that. So don't feel like you only can use your GI Bill for just four-year college. You can use it for any types of vocational training. Say you want to become a plumber, you want to become a welder, you want to get your CDLs, they'll pay for all of those things. And then within the post 9/11 GI Bill benefits, there are other things that you can qualify for. Say you're in a high demand field, they do have STEM specific scholarships that they can also cover in addition. The Edith Rogers program will give you extra months on top of your GI Bill to cover things that are within STEM, so science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. That's another scholarship that you're eligible when you're using the post 9/11 GI Bill benefits. And how to be eligible for it. You're currently enrolled in an undergraduate STEM program or qualifying dual degree program, or you've earned a post-secondary degree or graduate degree in an approved STEM degree field and are enrolled in a covered clinical training program for healthcare professionals, or you've earned a post-secondary degree in an approved STEM degree field and are working toward a certification. So this is really good for someone who is going to be going to school past that 4 years. Like you're going to go past undergraduate and you know that you're going to be going to study for like things like doctorates, you're trying to be a nurse practitioner, you're looking to be a PA. Programs like this can help you get that additional school money without having to come out of pocket. So that's really dope because like you're going to school longer, but they also have an incentive for it to help you pay for the cost of that tuition because you're usually going to run out of your GI Bill when you're doing those type of degrees. Like if you don't already have a bachelor's, you're probably gonna run out of it after your bachelor's. Or if you do have a bachelor's during your master's, you may not have any job bill left to go and cover those doctorate degrees. And so these are fields of study that the scholarship actually covers. They cover agricultural science or natural resource science. They cover biological or biomedical science, computer and information science and support services, engineering technologies, or any engineering related field, healthcare or health related field, mathematics or statistics, medical residency, physical science, science technologies, or technicians. So those are some ways that you can get some extra school money. In addition, if you do want to go to school abroad, the Yellow Ribbon program is amazing for that because you can go to foreign school, you can go to private schools, because private schools typically do have a higher tuition than those public universities. And the GI Bill has a program called Yellow Ribbon that'll help you go to those private institutions. So say you want to go to Harvard. Harvard's expensive. There's going to be a tuition difference because it's not a public institution. The Yellow Ribbon program will actually cover that. And how it does it, if you qualify, your school will contribute a certain amount toward your extra tuition and fees through a grant, scholarship, or similar program. And then what happens is the post 9/11 GI Bill will match the contribution. If you want to go to a foreign school, I would make sure that it's an approved institution. But if you want to go to, say, I want to go to school in Europe for 2 years, I want to go to school in Japan for 2 years, you can actually do that on your post 9/11 GI Bill. Like a lot of people don't know that. So that's a way that you could travel, study, and have all of this covered. Another thing that I tell people to look at when they're considering using their post 9/11 GI Bill, compare the two schools or however many schools that you may be considering going to because you want to maximize your benefits. You want to make sure that you're getting the best BH that you could get. The program is going to be covered fully by the VA, that they're an approved program, and that they have like military assistance in place. You can go to va.gov and you can look at the comparison tool. I chose two schools to compare was Rice University and the University of Houston. So one is a private, one is a public institution, and it highlights the difference between these. Usually, with the private and public, like I said before, the private schools usually cost a lot more money. So if you look here, tuition and fees, it's astronomically higher to go to Rice University, the private school, than it is University of Houston. So you can see how much that your GI Bill will pay towards your institution and see if you have any out of pocket costs. For example, for Rice University, there is $26,000 that you need to come out of pocket for, versus University of Houston, you're literally not coming out of pocket for that money at all for the education. So that's a big thing. And then also, I like people to see how much your housing allowance is and how much your book stipend is. So for Rice University and University of Houston, the BAH is the same because they're in the same zip code. So $2,085 is what you would receive if you were going to both of these schools just based off the geographic location. They're both located in Houston. And then you can also see if like the school has any complaints against them, like if the VA or the post 9/11 GI Bill, people have used it in the past and they had any issues. And then you can also see if they have like veteran support groups, which is good if you want to join like clubs and different things like that. And then you can also see if the school is a yellow ribbon program. So with Rice, remember where it said up here that you're gonna have to come out of pocket $26,000, but because Rice is a yellow ribbon program, you would actually most likely get all of your tuition covered because they will meet you in the middle with either a grant, a scholarship, and actually cover the whole cost of that tuition. So that's something to think about when you're navigating those types of programs, right? And then in addition to like Yellow Ribbon and BAH, another big facet is for you, those of you who have kids or you have like a spouse and you want to transfer your post 9/11 GI Bill to them, there are some different requirements that you have to meet. So just be cognizant of that. In order to transfer your post 9/11 GI Bill benefits, you have to have completed at least 6 years of service on the date your request is approved and agree to add 4 more years of service. So that would be 10 total years of active duty service. And then the person getting the benefits has to be enrolled in the Defense Enrollment Eligibility Reporting System, or DEERS. If you are a Purple Heart recipient, you don't need to meet a service requirement. So if you do have a Purple Heart and you want to transfer this to someone who's on your DEERS, they're actually a dependent of yours. Just make sure that you transfer, like you do the request while you're still on active duty to transfer it, okay? Because that's important. That's the only way that they'll be able to have that transfer to them. Another way to maximize your GI Bill benefits to make them last a little bit longer that I personally use is going to an online school. One of the cons of going to an online school is that your BAH will be reduced, but it does conserve your benefits a lot longer. So, for example, I went to Western Governors University. They do give you the option, since their terms are 6 month terms, so they break the year down into two 6 month terms. When you do your actual reporting for your certificate of eligibility for the VA for your post 9/11 benefits, you can choose to conserve your benefits, meaning that they will still pay for the full cost of tuition, but they will only mark you down as going 3 months of school because of how the curriculum is structured. And so you could do 3 months of school, meaning that like they're gonna take 3 months of your entitlement, but you really went to school 6 months. So you could have more of your GI Bill left over when you're done with school. And if you wanted to go in and get your master's or your doctorate, that's a very big tool because now you got more school money left over on your entitlement and things like that. And then in addition to post 9/11 benefits, some states do have education benefits for veterans and their dependents. Some of these states that have free college or assistance are Connecticut, Florida, North Carolina, South Carolina, Texas, Wisconsin, and Wyoming. And Texas, they have something called the Hazelwood Act. That's one I can speak about personally because I do qualify for it. It is similar to another GI Bill with the exception that they are not going to give you BAH, but they will cover for all of your tuition to a university or a vocational school or training program that is located in Texas. They'll give you another 48 months of schooling. They'll give you a book stipend and they'll cover tuition, but you don't receive basic housing allowance. Another way you could ideally maximize your post 9/11 GI Bill benefits and make them stretch longer is if you do qualify. If you're a veteran that qualifies for VRNE, meaning that you have a service connected disability, at the qualifying amount, you could qualify for VRNE and they will pay for your tuition, your BAH, give you book stipends, pretty similar to the post 9/11 GI Bill. And so there's different ways to make your benefits last longer, as well as if you're going into other well in demand fields. Like they also have something called vet tech, which it typically is not just for like schooling programs. A lot of it is coding, different STEM majors. The VA will actually cover that, and they'll cover the whole cost, and you can still get tuition assistance. They'll give you a stipend, and then some programs do actually qualify for BA8. So those are some ways that you can maximize those benefits to make them stretch longer for you. In addition to that, so I encourage people to look into their state benefits as well, especially if you know that you might be going to school for a little longer, like you want to go for things that require master's, doctoral degrees. Look into your state benefits a lot of the times because you may have some extra schooling left on the table there, before you necessarily go and use all of your GI Bill. Or you can plan like, okay, I know I have to use my GI Bill first, but then after that, I can qualify for other programs like the Edith Rogers programs, where that's for STEM because I'm gonna go be a nurse practitioner or some type of doctor or an engineer, or I know that I can qualify under my state benefit programs after I use this to go get my master's and my doctoral degree. So those are just some ways that you can maximize those benefits and make them work for you. But that's going to wrap up episode 2. I hope you enjoyed this. Please leave a like, comment, subscribe.